Show of hands, how many of you have come across a Hindu, when asked about his religion, would say, I'm not a religious, I'm a spiritual kind of guy? How many of you have come across a Hindu who, when asked to tick a box on religion, would actually mark won't tell or not applicable? For those of you who didn't put their hands up for those two questions, I have a good news for you. You didn't miss much. You're looking at one now. I want you to come with me on my journey of how my mind was hijacked, enslaved, and how I came back to this place and escaped. My parents, so I grew up in a small town in central India. Out of my well-being and care for my future, my parents put me in a convent school. Next 15 years, I kneeled before Lord Jesus more number of times than I bowed to Bhagwan Ram. I recited my Father in heaven more number of times than Gayatri Mantra. I developed my worldview reading a newspaper called The Hindu. For those of you who know, that's the most anti-Hindu newspaper you would come across. It beats BBC. In my young adult, I traveled the world. I roamed the cobbled streets of Rome, soaking in the sunny piazzas, bustling markets, monuments, majestic Colosseum, historic Roman Forum. In all that, in the middle of that, I still lamented why we don't have something like this back in India. As I traveled through the streets of Istanbul, smelling the tingling aroma of the spices in the grand bazaar, marveling at the engineering prowess of the aqueducts, the mosques, I couldn't help but lament why we don't have something like that back in India. I am told we are a 10,000 plus year civilization. Don't we have anything to show for? I walked through my life until mid-30s. By this time, my expectation of my civilization and heritage was this low. But something profound happened. One weekend, a long weekend, my family and I traveled to a place called Hampi, 400 kilometers north of Bangalore. Now, when I read about that place, it said, yeah, it's a city of ruins, it's a heritage site, blah, 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 all that low-key stuff. As I drove towards that city, around the bend, the city just emerged in front of me. I was taken in by the majesty of that city. As I roamed through the courtyards and the boulevards of that ancient city, by the way, it's a 700-year-old city of Vijayanagara Empire, I was taking in all the beautiful sights of monumental temples, beautiful statues, stone carvings that tell remarkably vivid stories. I couldn't help but wonder. I sat down in the middle of that massive courtyard in a moment of reflection. A penny dropped, and the spell built over 30 years shattered. The lamentations that I had in Rome, in Istanbul, disappeared. But they were replaced by anger. Why I didn't know about this earlier? What else did I miss? Why I didn't find time proactively to find it for myself? Next decade, I spent traveling hundreds of such civilizational markers. Truly beautiful, majestic, everything that I thought is missing was out there. I didn't know about it. In a moment of the summary of my 10-year travel was that just like countries, minds are also colonized. The self-esteem of the civilization is drained. The will is weakened so much that you cannot even assert it onto this world and chart your own course. My two call-outs before you leave this room, and we will let you in a couple of hours. It's just two. Number one, do not let your civilizational history be trivialized and erased. Proactively find places that you can travel to and get connected to that civilizational heritage. Two, build powerful institutions, an ecosystem that lets you take charge of your narrative and set your own course. Namaste.